So we discussed about page layouts in our last session. Okay, we saw how we can create page layout. Now you might have noticed when I was working on the page layout part, we tried editing one account layout. If you go to customize accounts, and then we went to the page layouts. Okay. Now you see that there are multiple page layouts here for account. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. Whereas for your custom object, you just have one layout. In account, you have multiple page layouts. Okay. What can be the reason for this? Why do you think we need different page layouts for the same object? Any ideas? Anyone?
When you say pay, it can be same object, but I think you have different profiles, right? Marketing, sales, support.
Right. Correct. So for different set of users, you might need different page layout. Correct. Let's say my marketing team wants to see the account record in a different format, and the sales team wants to see it in a different format. Pretty much possible, right? In that case, I'll have to create two different page layouts. Object remains the same, fields remain the same. Marketing team says that I want to see the industry at the top. Let's say. Sales team says that no, I want to see the website at the top. Now, to meet the requirement for both the profiles, all that I have to do is I just have to create two different page layouts. So as simple as that. Alright. You can create the page layouts, click on new, you can create a page layout, and then you can assign the page layout to the profiles. So let's go to our custom object and create a page layout. So in custom object, by default you get one page layout. All the custom objects that you have created, by default you will get one page layout. However, you will have the option of creating more page layouts. Okay, you have the option of adding a new page layout here. Page layout 2. I could have made a few changes here, but they have not done that. Here it is, the page layout. Alright, so now I have two page layouts. One is applicant layout, one is page layout 2. This is what I have created. Once you have the page layout created, all that you have to do is you have to assign the page layout to the profiles. For doing that, you just need to go ahead and click on page layout assignment. Okay, go to page layout assignment and you can assign the page layout to the user. Which page layout should be given to which user? That can be done from here. Let's say you want to change the page layout for standard user. Click on edit assignment. Now go to your standard user, select the standard user and select the page layout. So now this record is selected. Go to the page layout, select what changes, which page layout you want to assign. Done. For marketing user also I want to give him the page layout too. Okay, changed. See it? For marketing user and for standard user, I have given them page layout too. For others, I have kept it as the normal applicant layout. That's how it is. Right. So this is how you create your page layouts, or this is how you can have multiple page layouts and assign different page layouts for different profiles. Now, so we see that we can actually associate the profiles with the page layouts, different page layouts. So this will help you in a lot of ways. For example, there are certain fields. So first option is that as I said, the order of the fields or the way fields are being displayed. That's something which you might need different order or different sequence of the fields for different profiles. That's something which may be required. Apart from that, think about a situation where you don't want to display all the fields to all the profiles. For some profile, you want to display a certain fields, a few fields, and for other profile, you don't want to display those fields. Got it? So that's another thing. That's another requirement. All right. Then, if you don't want to make few fields required for everyone, on the page layout, you can make the fields required, right? That's what we saw in our last session. Now, if you can make fields required on the page layout, but you feel that you don't want to make the fields required for everyone. For example, when a certain profile is entering the data, at that time you just want the field should not be required. But when some other profile user is entering the data, at that time you want to make the field required. So two different page layouts will help you achieve this, right? So the layout of the page, displaying the fields which you want to display to a specific profile, making the fields required based on profile. These all things can be achieved with multiple page layouts. Got it? Now, there's a small question that I have, and this question is basically on the required field concept. Required field concept. So you know there is an option while you're creating the field, you have the option of creating a making a field required. Correct? You can make a field required while you're creating the field. So at the time of creating field, you have an option of making a field required, and you can also make a field required on the page layout. So we see that we have two options of making a field required. One, we can do it while we are creating the field. Okay. The other option is on the page layout. Now, do you think there is a difference between these two required fields? The one which has been made required when you created the field and the one which has been made required on the page layout. Should there be any difference functionally?
No,
No?
no.
Okay. Anyone else?
I mean, I think the fields what you're creating, that those can be applicable to the standard user profile,
Hmm.
but the fields which you are creating on the page layout can be customized.
Okay. Okay. So let me put it this way. If you make a field required, now we have this option now. We go to our uh, object, then go to applicant, or any other object. Let me pick. Uh, I'm trying to create a new field. Let's say a text field. Go to next. And here I have the option of making the field required. Correct? The same option is available while you are working on the page layout also. So basically what happens if you make a field required while creating the field, to understand the difference, let's just understand this small concept that making a field required while creating a field is called universally required. Okay, and making a field required through the page layout is called required on page layout. Okay, and I think that should the meaning, literal meanings of the words should help you understand what is the difference. So if you make a field, if you mark a field as required at the time of creating it, then it will become universally required, which means it will be required everywhere, no matter how the data is being entered. It is being entered manually, it is being entered from data loader, it is being entered through the help of a program. Every time that field will be required, universally required. However, when you make a field required on the page layout, that field will be required only when the data is being entered through that page layout. Okay, so that required field is only required if that page layout is being used. Okay, if you use some other page layout, so if you have multiple page layouts and if you have made a field required on one page layout, it will not be required on the other layout, or it will not be required when you are entering the data through data loader, because in data loader no page layout is being used. Correct? So that's the difference. A
One
field.
question, G.
Mhm.
Uh, when you say that it is required on page layout, you know, will the field kind of let you save the data if you do not fill it during the page layout? Page layout is only that option required, right? But when you're making the record, after you have made the page layout and mark the field as required,
Mm.
so that time, you know, would it be mandatory? Would that have that red line, right? So if it has
Mm.
that red line, it will not let you save the record if you have not filled in data on it, right? So
Right.
isn't it the same as creating field and the end effect on record?
You have a field. Sorry. You have a field. Okay. Now you have page layouts. Page layout one, page layout two, page layout three. Okay. You're working with three different. Sorry. So the field is there, and let's say then I have three different page layouts. Page layout one, two, and three.
Yes.
Okay. You have an option, and apart from using the page layouts, you also have something called data loader, which you can use for entering the data. Okay, let's say this is data loader. Apart from this, you also have an option of entering data using program. Fine. So your data can get into the system from all these options using any of these options. Correct? Let's say I have three page layouts: page layout one, page layout two, and page layout three. Apart from this, the data can get into the system through data loader. It can get into the system through a program, right? So these are all entries, correct? Now, you have the option of making a field required on the field itself. When you create the field, at that time itself you can mark it as required. If you mark
Right.
it as required at this time, it will become universally required, which means no matter which entry process you are taking, if you do not supply the value for this field, record will not be saved. Okay.
Yes.
So if you mark some field required here, then it will be universally required. No matter you are using page layout 1, page layout 2, page layout 3, what is your profile, what is the program that you have written, is it getting into through data loaders? Everywhere this field will be required. If the value is not supplied for this field, you will not be able to save it. Other option is, if you feel that no, I just want the data to be this field to be required on this page layout, then go and mark it as required in the page layout. Now what is happening? This is very particular to this page layout. So it will not be required when you are using this page layout for entering the data. It will not be required when you are using this page layout for entering the data. It will not be required when you are using data loader for entering the data. Got it? So the difference between marking a field required here and here.
Mm.
Clear?
Yeah.
So that's the
So
difference.
basically, you can save it without data on it, right?
Sorry, what is it?
You'll still be able to save it when you're making a record without the data on it, right? For required on page layout option.
You will not be able to save it if the data is being entered from here.
Okay.
But you will be able to save it if the data is being entered from here. If your security card is sitting here, then it will not allow you to go from here. But from here you can get into it. Correct. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. Marked required on a certain page layout, and if the same page layout is being used for entering the data, then it will be required. That is why we are calling it required, right? Then it will be required only on this page layout. Understand the literal meaning of it. It will be required only on this page layout, but anyone else entering data from anywhere else using any other option, there it will not be required. Got it?
Okay. Okay.
But a universally required, as the name says, no matter which entry process you take, it's going to be required. So
Okay,
now,
I'll try that option.
yeah, sorry.
I'll practically try it out and see the difference as well.
Yeah. Now the other thing that you have to understand is whenever you have a required field concept, you will have to understand whether you need to make the field required for everyone everywhere. Okay. Then, for example, let's say I'm working with a custom object and I have a field called let's say I have a field called I have a custom object consultant. Okay, I have a field called email here. Okay, now I want to ensure that there should not be any consultant record in my database without an email ID. Email is a must. Then make it universally required. When you say that no email, no consultant record, make it universally required. So mark it as a required field uh, at the time of creating the field itself. But if I say that I can allow consultant record without emails, but for while someone is manually entering, I want to make sure that they are entering the email ID. At that time, you can just go and mark it required on the page layout. Got it?
Mhm.
So that's the thing. That's the difference. Marking it required on the page layout will only work with that particular page layout. Like in this case, for applicant object, we have two page layouts. If you mark a field required on this layout, that field will be required only on this layout. Someone who is trying to enter data through this page layout, he will not find this field required. Correct? So that's how it is. Okay. Right. So the page layout concept is clear. Are we okay on this? Any doubts or questions? Anyone? We good? Okay. Now, one more concept which is called a record type. What's a record type? Record type is basically if in one object you have two different types of records. Okay, in one single object, if you have two different types of records. Just a quick reminder on the microphone mute, everyone. Thank you all. Okay. So what's a record type? Sometimes what happens is in the same object you have two different types of record. Okay. Simple example can be we are talking about recruitment manager application. Okay, think about it. In recruitment manager application, we have the jobs. Okay. Your company can have requirement to enter two different types of jobs. Let's say one is temporary job, one is permanent job. Okay, so you have a table where you have listing job opening. Um, let's say temporary, permanent. Apart from that, let's say that in this job opening, you might be having two types of jobs. One you are hiring through a vendor. One you are hiring on your own payrolls. Okay, through a vendor and one on payrolls, on company payrolls. Now, the information which needs to be put for a job which is through a vendor and for a job which is on payrolls will be different. When you are saying that there is a job through a vendor, then you will have to fill in different fields, right? Name of the vendor, term of the contract, what is the percentage that the vendor will take. All right. At the same time, when you are talking about a job which is on your own payrolls, then you don't have to worry about these parts, right? Then this information is not required. Name of the vendor and all that stuff will not come, right? So do you see there is a significant difference in the data which is getting stored, but both of them are job openings. So you have created single object, but the fields which you need to fill are different. Some fields are common, some fields are different, right? This is where you need to define a record type. Any such requirement, you need to have record types. Got it? So where you can track two different type of information on the same object. Okay. So let's go ahead with the same example. We will go with the same example. Javed, can you give me the login ID password once again?
Yeah, yeah, sure. Give me 1 minute.
Right. So here we are. Okay, I have this object called job openings. Let's say I want to create two different record types. By default, every object has one record type. Now I want to create two different record types here. One will be the contract job and the other is going to be the permanent job. The permanent is the one on my payrolls and the contract is the one through vendor. Let's say that's the concept. So I need to create now two different record types. How do you create record type? Just go to the setup, create objects, go to the job opening object, scroll down, you will see record types here. By default, as I said, there are no record types. All records are same. But now you have to create the record types. So if you have that requirement, just go ahead and click on new record type. Okay. Label it as contract jobs. Okay. Make it active. Sometimes you might not want to keep it make it active because you don't want to immediately use it, right? So sometimes you are still in the process of developing the application. At that time you can keep it inactive, but I want to use it right now, so I'll make it active. Enable the record type for the profiles. So you have a list of all the profiles, which all profiles should be able to use this record type. I've enabled it for all the profiles. Go to next and save it. So your record type contract job is ready. Same way, I am going to create one more record type, which is going to be the permanent job. So go ahead to the job opening object, create one more record type. Here it is, record types. Click on new, say permanent job. Make this also active. Enable it for all the profiles. Next. Save.
So record types can also be created like universally required kind of a thing, or they're only specific to the objects.
No, record type is specific to the object. So for job object, I am creating two different record types. Right? Now we have contract job and the permanent job. Right? So click on job openings. When you try to create a new record, it will ask you, are you wanting to create a contract job or a permanent job? Earlier it was not asking because there was no record type. Now it has two record types, contract and permanent. Right? And no matter what you select here, it's going to take you to the same page. Why? Because I have not specified which fields should be displayed for contract and which field should be specified for permanent. Right? So let's say I need one more
Abhijit, I
field.
have a question.
Mhm.
So we can use the page layout concept in this, right? For this
Yes.
thing, permanent job, we can use a different page layout, and
Right, right.
regular we can.
Yes, we can. We can. Okay. And as I said earlier, I think you guys might have again forgotten it. Let's put, wait for me to come to the questions part and then ask questions. I see, a lot of questions all of a sudden coming in, and I'm pretty sure others are getting disturbed with those questions. Fine. So please wait for that time and put your questions there. Okay. So now what we have done is we have created two record types, right? Now the moment you try to create a new record, it's going to ask you that do you want to create a contract job or a permanent job? Now When you select contract job, the fields which are specific to the contract job, they will appear. Okay. And when you select permanent job, the fields which are specific to the permanent job will appear. Okay. Now, which all fields will be displayed, that depends on the page layout. So now the next thing that you have to do, because you want to display different set of fields, what you have to do, you have contract job and you have permanent job. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to display different set of fields for both these. Okay, for contract job, let's say I want to display uh, fields 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say these are the name fields. And for permanent job, I might be willing to display fields 1, 4, 5, 6. So some fields can be common in both of them, some fields can be different. Okay. Now, how do you get the set of fields? Page layout. So what do we need to do? We'll have to go and define page layouts for these two different record types. So you'll have to create a page layout. It's very simple concept. All that you have to do is you just have to go and create a page layout for contract job, and this contract job put all these fields. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 fields. Create another page layout for permanent job. In that, put these fields. Right. So now what will happen if someone selects contract job, he will come to this page layout where he will find the field number 1, 2, 3, 4. If someone selects the permanent job, he will land up on this page where he will find page number 1, 4, 5, 6. So we have not done anything actually. Record type we are not creating two different types of record, nothing. Simply we are just playing around with the user interface. Okay. If on a permanent job where you don't have the requirement of a vendor, if the vendor field is being displayed, it will look very odd. So what you're doing, you're just hiding it from the permanent job. That's it. The field stays in the object. It's again the same object. Okay. The field stays in the object, but it's not displayed when someone is trying to enter the permanent job information. And it gets displayed when someone is entering a contract job information. Got it? So let's create a field, let's say called vendor name in the job application, in the job opening. Let me create it. In the job opening, I'll create one field. Let's say I'm creating a field called vendor name. Okay. Now vendor name concept comes into picture only if the job is a contract job. In for permanent job, it's your in-house job. You don't need the vendor name. Now on for permanent job, I don't want to show this. For contract job, I want to show this vendor name field. Alright. So all that I have to do is I just have to go and work with the page layouts for this. So as I said, you have to have two different page layouts, one for contract job, one for permanent job. So go to new page layout, contract job page. So for the contract job page, vendor name is required. So I will keep it here. Rest everything remains same. Okay. And some other information related to vendor can come here, but we just have one field right now. So let me put it here. So in your contract job, this field you need it and make it a mandatory field also. So how will you make it required? Okay. So on contract page, This field is there, vendor name field is there, and it's required. I'll create one more page layout for the permanent job. Permanent job page. In the permanent job page, I don't need the vendor name field. So you just can go and remove this. Okay. Other changes can also be done the same way. We are just dealing with one field. Alright. So you have created two record types and you have created two different page layouts, one for each record type. Now you have to go and do the assignment of the page layouts to the record types also. How do you do that? You can do it from page layout assignment under page layouts, or you can do it from page layout assignment under record type. Under record type also you have page layout assignment. Okay. So let's go into this. Same thing. Okay. Now, because you have earlier, if you looked into the page layout assignment, you would have seen just one column here. Now there are three columns. Okay. Which page layout do you want to display for which profile and which record type? So my current profile is system administrator. So for system administrator, or let's say for all contract, I would make it contract job page layout. Select the contract job record type. Under that, it should be contract job page layout. For permanent job, let's select permanent job page layout. So this assignment you have to do, right? So when someone selects the permanent job record type, that person will land onto the permanent job page layout. When someone selects contract job record type, then that person will land on the contract job page layout. Here, now just go ahead and click on save. Done. Now let's go to the job opening. Click on new. Select contract job. Go to continue. See, in the contract job, you have the vendor name option available, and it's a mandatory field. Whereas if you try to enter a permanent job here, no vendor name. Got it? The same way other fields can also be controlled. I just did it for one field, but you can control some other fields. Let's say for a contract job, you don't need location. You don't need a maximum minimum pay. You may have that. So the fields which are required for the permanent job, put it in that page layout, and the fields which are required on the contract job, put it under the contract job page layout. Correct? So just a matter of how you are dealing with the user interfaces. Database remains same. Right? Okay. Now let me know if anyone has a question, any difficulty understanding the concept of record type. Simple. Any doubts? Any questions? Anyone?
So you created you created a record layouts. You
Page
created
layout.
contract job and permanent. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to recollect in terms of the permanent job and the contract job were the page layouts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the record layout is what?
Record type.
Sorry, the record type is.
Record type is just a record type. And for different two different record types, you are creating two different page layouts because you need different information.
Yeah. So two record types are permanent job and the contract job, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so the two record types are permanent job and contract job, and for each record type, you're creating the page layouts, right?
Right. So that you can